What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for April 14th, 2024. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Sunday edition of the podcast, a Masters Sunday. It's going to be beautiful out. We have Phillies. We have a big Sixers game on tap. The Union are in action. It's going to be one of those days. I got to mow the grass early, do some other work around the house, and then I will be plopping out on the back patio, flipping through whatever strikes my fancy at the time, whether it's the Phillies, Flyers, or Phillies, Sixers, or the Masters. We're going to be watching all three. Might even have one on the radio while I'm watching another on TV. Bring the iPad out. It's just going to be one of those days, and it's going to be a beautiful, beautiful day. But that leads into a recap of yesterday's question of the day. I asked, what is your must-see TV sporting event for this weekend? And it was a tie between the Masters and the Flyers, each with 40% of the vote. But it's going to be another big day today. We got Sixers, Union, like I said, are in action. So it's going to be a good one. Get outside, watch the games outside if you can. Listen to them on the radio, old school style. But as always, thank you for participating into yesterday's question of the day. There'll be another one later in the show. 267-495-8531 gets you in on the Back to the Future voice and text line. Let's stick with the Flyers. Big win in a do-or-die spot, 1-0 over the Devils. Ersson was outstanding. They are currently tied for that final wild card spot. They cannot jump because of the Islanders getting a point yesterday. They cannot jump into third place in the Metro Division, so it's wild card or bust for the Flyers. Unfortunately for the Flyers, the other teams they're tied with, Pittsburgh, Detroit, and Washington, each have an extra game to play to get more points. They all play tomorrow, but they're tough games that they have to play, so it is within the realm of possibilities that the Flyers could be in a do-or-die win and get in type scenario when they play the Capitals. And the fact that they play the Capitals is huge too. It should be interesting. We're going to be doing a little scoreboard watching tomorrow, but the Flyers still are clinging to a little bit of a playoff shot. And like I said, we'll have a clearer picture after tomorrow night's games with the other three teams and know specifically what, if anything, the Flyers can do. But again, their final game is against the Capitals, so that bodes well, at least for taking them out of the equation. And I think Washington plays Boston tomorrow night. And again, Boston's not really playing for much, but they are Boston. So good win. We'll have, like I said, a better, clearer picture of what the Flyers need to do tomorrow. But until then, they ain't dead yet. Be sure to hit me up on social media, TikTok and Twitter, Jimbo_Mont, on Instagram, at PhillyJimbo. Find me on Facebook. Subscribe to the YouTube channel at Jimbo_Mont. Tell your friends. Spread the word. Let's grow this thing. And if you're interested in being a sponsor or getting involved with the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame for the ceremony in November in any way, let me know. There's plenty of different options. If you have a business that you want to promote, if you want to have things that you can donate, if you have like a service industry type business, a restaurant, you want to donate something for the auction. And they are looking for we're looking for experiences too. So like if you have connections that way, you want to do a hotel stay or show tickets or tickets to a game, and then a gift certificate to a restaurant or something. That's all well. Like I said, if you have any questions and it's something that interests you, hit me up either through one of the social medias, DM me, or even on the Back to the Future voice and text line. If you want information just on attending and getting tickets, the link is in the description. I will say, I've been saying it's one hell of a class. So if you're going to buy tickets, get them early. But everything you need is in the description. Let me know if you have any questions, if you're interested in sponsoring in any way. All right, it was a good day for the Phillies yesterday. Schwarber led off the game with a home run, and then Castellanos walked him off in the end. Which was kind of like a come full circle moment for Castellanos, who was booed earlier in the game. Rightfully so. He hasn't been doing well, but 4-3 win for I got Sixers on my mind, man. 4-3 win for the Phillies. The bullpen was outstanding. Spencer Turnbull was good in his own right, but the bullpen pitched 5 scoreless innings, gave up no runs, and kind of picked up Spencer Turnbull. He was good, or he was okay. He wasn't great, but the bullpen certainly picked up the slack for the Phils, kept it close, and allowed the offense to do their thing. Can we please get a winning streak here? And they had 2 the other day, and then they lost, win, loss. So now we got 1. Let's get 1 today, close out, take 3 or 4 from the Pirates, and then you got the White Sox. We can take advantage of our schedule here and really start putting some distance between the teams below us in the standings, and then as well as just the Braves are not the Braves right now. So the division is right there for us to kind of put some wins. The schedule's can we get a winning streak? That's all I ask. I just want a winning streak of more than 2 games. And 2 games is not even necessarily a winning streak. So we'll see where we go from there. But good win for the Phils. They look to take 3 out of 4 from the Pirates later this afternoon. We saw the Philly City Connect jerseys the other day. Mixed reviews, and there's no in between. People either love them or hate them. I think more people are in the hate. But if you want to be able to, because they're not going anywhere, if you still want to be able to fit in, Philly Goat's got you covered. They have their Philly Connect line of sweatshirts, jerseys, jackets, pants, hats, you name it. Although the Phillies, the City Connect hats are pretty good, but the Philly Goat hats are very, very nice. I like them. So go check that out. They have all kinds of City or Philly Connect edition gear. Just go in, do a search. You'll find it. Like I said, I ordered the navy blue or the dark blue shirt with the Philly script across it the other day. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off your order. But yeah, get involved. Philly Goat, they did it right. They should have consulted Ryan and his team. So go to Philly Goat, check out their Philly Connect line of hoodies, jerseys, jackets, pants, all of that. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery at checkout for 10% off of your order. They got you covered. They did the City Connect right. All right, I mentioned the Sixers, and they take on the Nets today at 1, and all of the Eastern Conference games are at 1 o'clock. So we'll know by about 3:30 what the Sixers' playoff status is. They can go as high as 5. They can go as low as 8. You just got to take care of business, win, and then see what everything else goes from there. The crowd should be rocking, I would think, especially with so much on the line. Definitely, like I said, there's going to be a lot of scoreboard watching in this one. And I like how the NBA is doing this, similar to what the NFL does, because all of the Eastern Conference games are at 1. All of the Western Conference games are at 3:30. So by 7 o'clock tonight, we'll have a clear picture of the NBA playoff picture. We'll know when the Sixers are playing, who they're playing, and what we need to do from there. But looking forward to that. All you got to do is win, and the rest of the stuff will take care of it. I will say this. Nobody wants to play the Sixers. I've read so many things and seen so many things online, especially the way they're playing right now. Nobody wants to see them in the playoffs. So we will know by 3:30 this afternoon. Be there or be square. Be sure to check out my boys over at the Clashing Conferences podcast. They're doing great things for the Sixers or the NBA now. I'm sure the Sixers will be a topic of conversation, especially if somehow there's a way for them to play the Knicks. I know Topher Pete will be involved in that. So go check them out wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. Eagles, sign Devontae Howie. It's going to be a beautiful day. There's all kinds of stuff going on TV. Be a good day for you to get the Eagles out there and just do it. Make it happen, Howie. Sign Devontae. Union are in action this afternoon as well down in Atlanta to take on Atlanta United. So there's just sports galore this weekend. It's one of my favorite weekends of the year because you have all the teams playing as well as the Masters. This is a big game early in the season here for the Union. They are currently separated from Atlanta by 2 points, and the Union are actually only 2 points out of the top spot in the Eastern Conference. So we saw it last year where they got behind, a little bit behind too early. So the more they can get points now and kind of build up a cushion, the better off we'll be. So will be one of the flip things that I'm watching this afternoon. Okay, today we're going to stick with a hockey theme. We're going to go back to 2000, and on this day, back in the year 2000, it was Game 2 of the opening round of the Eastern Conference Playoffs. The Flyers beat Buffalo and Dominik Hasek the day before in Game 1, so they had a 1-0 lead going into Game 2. They got down early, 1-0 in the first period. John LeClair fired a shot in the second. A power play toward the net, counted as a goal. The problem was no one noticed that it went through the net on the side. Never crossed the goal line, so technically was not a goal. And it wasn't sure whether there was already a hole in the net or if LeClair's shot made the hole. But it certainly did not cross the goal line in front of Hasek. It went through the side of the net. Play was restarted, and the Buffalo players were like, no, look, there's a hole. But the problem is, in the NHL, once things start, play progressed, at least at that point, I think it might have possibly switched some things now. But at that point, once play started, they cannot go back and review it. Eric Desjardins scored a power play goal in the third to give the Flyers the 2-1 lead and have them go up 2-0. But LeClair's phantom goal was the series changer for this. Flyers won Game 3 2-0. They would lose Game 4 in overtime and then won Game 5. And we just talked about this team that went on that run to the Eastern Conference Finals. They had that 5 overtime game against the Penguins. The 3-1 lead against the Devils, Eric Lindros getting knocked out by Scott Stevens. That was all this year. But this day, back in 2000, they beat Buffalo and Dominik Hasek 2-1 on a phantom goal by John LeClair that went through the net. Whether it created a hole or went through a hole, nobody knows. But it, in fact, was not a goal. It was ruled a goal and proved to be the difference maker in this game and really turned this series because Buffalo was not a great team. But Dominik Hasek was just a dominant goalie. So for them to get goals any way they could against him, that was huge. They would go on to win the series 4-1, make that run to the Eastern Conference Finals before blowing the 3-1 lead against the Devils. All right, today's top 20 memory for the 20th anniversary of Citizens Bank Park. We're going to go back to June 14th of 2004, and Jim Thome hit his 400th career home run in his career at Citizens Bank Park for the Phillies. The Phillies beat the Reds that day 10-7. This was a makeup game from a rainout in April. Ironically, there were multiple rain delays in this game, and it didn't end until after 2 a.m. Thome hit his homer in the bottom of the first, though. And it was a pretty cool thing. Even though Ken Griffey Jr. did not play in this game, they were kind of building it up as, hey, Thome can hit his 400th. Ken Griffey Jr. was chasing his 500th. You can see history on both levels. But it was only Thome hitting his 400th home run on this day in 2000, or not on this day, but on June 14th in 2004. Thome was signed, obviously, to help transition the Phillies into Citizens Bank Park. He certainly did his job, and he did change the perception of the team because back then they were considered a small market team. This was not long after the whole Scott Rowland fiasco, and they signed Thome to pretty big money, and it certainly changed the perception of the Phillies, and they were able to get guys that would come in that ultimately would lead them to the 5 straight divisions in the World Series title in 2008. Thome ended up his career with 612 home runs. That's 8th all-time. His time with the Phillies came to an end because he became expendable because of Ryan Howard. But Jim Thome was a class act throughout his time here in Philly. He even had a second stint late in his career. But just just a great guy and really underrated in terms of where he stands in Phillies history, only because he was signed specifically to put butts in the seat and help transition to Citizens Bank Park. He certainly did that. And because he came here, though, it also underrated in all of that is that it helped lure Charlie Manuel, who obviously would win the World Series as our manager. But Jim Thome's 400th home run is today's top 20 memory for the 20th anniversary of Citizens Bank Park, and that happened June 14th, 2004. Thome would end up with 612 for his career. Now, that begs the question, today's question of the day, who is the greatest home run hitter in Phillies history? And there's been a few, and I'm not talking player, I'm not talking anything but home runs. Who is the greatest home run hitter? Forget about everything else, fielding, batting average, whatever. Best home run hitter, and I'm sure some of you are going to say I left some key people off the list, but for me, it's out of one of four. So tell me, is it Jim Thome, is it Mike Schmidt, Ryan Howard, or Kyle Schwarber? You certainly can make the argument for Greg Luzinski if you want to do that. Let me know on the Back to the Future voice and text line, 267-495-8531. Get you in to the Back to the Future voice and text line. But who's the greatest home run hitter ever for the Phillies? And keep it strictly as home run. For me, it's Ryan Howard. And everybody said he wasn't clutch. He struck out too much. But that dude, when he was in his prime, nobody was better than him. And the story against Colorado, just get me to the plate, boys. And sure enough, he would do it. And like this dude would just hit bombs. To me, it's Ryan Howard. But who is the best home run hitter in Phillies history? Is it Jim Thome, Mike Schmidt, Ryan Howard, or Kyle Schwarber, or someone else that I'm missing? Like I said, you can make the case for Greg Luzinski. There's other guys you can certainly make the case for. Let me know your thoughts on that. 267-495-8531. Get you into the Back to the Future voice and text line. Finally today, our Philly sports team with unfinished business that left some meat on the bones. These two teams, or this 2-year span for this team is one of the more frustrating ones in my lifetime. But it's the 89 and 90 Philadelphia Eagles, the two teams that cost Buddy Ryan his job. In 1989, they were the defending NFC East champions. They actually had a better year because they were more consistent. They went 11-5, finished a game back of the Giants, who ironically enough, they beat twice in the regular season. For some reason, those teams always, like the Eagles always beat the Giants, but they always lost to Washington for whatever reason. That always happened during this time. That year, Doug Scoville died, which really, I think, hampered, and people have talked about this. He was the quarterback's coach who was working with Randall and really starting to develop. And this was really, that year was a pivotal year in Randall's development. And without him, Buddy just kind of threw him out there. They lost to the Rams due to their zone defense that they purposely put in just to frustrate Randall, and it worked. Coming into 1990, Rich Kotite took over as the offensive coordinator. And again, say what you want, he came in and really, it was a struggle at first, but he really changed the mindset of that offense. They struggled at first, but Randall, they went 1-3 and then 2-4 at one point. Randall put together an MVP caliber season that year. I think it was what was lost in all of that. But then they lost to Washington in the wild card game at the Vet. Cunningham was benched and then brought back in. And ultimately, Buddy Ryan was fired. But these two teams left a ton of meat on the bone because the NFC East was just so dominant between, at this point, it was Washington, the Giants, and the Eagles, like for this 2-3 year period. And they were just so dominant. And they just couldn't get over the hump, and they couldn't get out of their own way. And I mean, with those defenses, I think everybody, and here's an unpopular opinion here because everybody likes Buddy, but Buddy should have done way more with those teams. And I'm sorry to say, and yes, everybody loves Buddy because of him going back and forth with Jimmy Johnson, the Dallas stuff. I get it. I love Buddy too. But if we take a step back and look at this, Buddy is the reason why that team did not do more. It wasn't the players, because you saw what happened in 91 once Buddy was out, and yeah, Randall was hurt, but it just, he was a good, I think, great defensive guy, great at evaluating defensive talent. I don't think he was a good head coach, and I think that's why Buddy is the reason why that team did not win more. And there's no reason. We're going to talk a lot about that era But there's no reason why that team shouldn't have won more. So today's Philly sports teams with unfinished business, the 1989 and the 1990 Eagles, went to the wild card round, had home games, and got blown out in both games and just didn't look good whatsoever, offensively or defensively. And again, that falls on the head coach, and I know that is an unpopular opinion in Philly, and I'm okay with that. Trust me, I lived and died with those teams, and I hated that they fired Buddy Ryan, to be completely honest, when I was young when it happened. However, looking back on it now, all these years later, the dude should have been fired. Like, he just did not show up in big games as a head coach. Like, he's a great defensive mind. Head coach, not so much. And you see what happened with Randall once he had some coaching. The problem is his time in Philly ended poorly because he was used to not having coaching for so long, and he butted heads with everybody. But that's a whole different topic for another show. But today's Philly sports team that left a lot of meat on the bone that still frustrates me to this day is the 1989-1990 Eagles. Both teams went to the wild card round and lost. Today's top 20 memory for the 20th anniversary of Citizens Bank Park is when Jim Thome hit his 400th career home run back in 2004, which is leading to today's question of the day. Who's the greatest home run hitter in Philly's history? Is it Thome? Is it Michael Jack? Is it the Big Piece? Or is it the Schwarbaum himself? Let me know. 267-495-8531. Back to the Future voice and text line. On this day, back in 2000, the Flyers beat the Sabres 2-1 in Game 2 of their first-round playoff series for the Stanley Cup playoffs. The Flyers won when John LeClair scored a goal that wasn't a goal that went through the net off of the dominant goalie for Buffalo, Dominik Hasek, but they did not review it. Goal counted. Flyers win 2-1, and it really changed the complexion of that whole series because there's a big difference between 2-0 and 1-1. But that happened on this day in 2000. Good luck to the Sixers, the Union, and Phillies today. Let's hope that the hockey gods take care of us tomorrow, and the Flyers are playing for something on, I believe they play Tuesday night. But enjoy your sports day. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History. I'm Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Sunday. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.